Welcome to our first of several candidate Q&A sessions for the Twin Cities DSA second round of endorsements for the 2022 cycle. My name is John Grill. I use he or they pronouns, and I will be the host today. We are joined by Mai Chong Xiong, apologies, who is running for Ramsey County Commissioner, Board of Commissioners, District 6 over in St. Paul area of Ramsey County. This is a Q&A, so this is where an opportunity for Twin Cities DSA members to meet our candidates and ask them questions and consider these things before we eventually vote on whether or not to endorse. So this is your opportunity to ask any questions that would really help you in making your decision on whether or not you think the Twin Cities DSA chapter should endorse in this race. So what we're going to do is going to have first Mai introduce herself. And then we have a series of questions that were submitted ahead of time that I will ask. And then as we're doing that, you will notice there's a Q&A function down at the bottom where you can submit questions now, either as a response to something that Maya said or something else that you would like to ask. And I can see those and we'll pull some of those up put those in basically ask those, and then we will wrap it up. There will be some additional candidate Q&A sessions this week, so be sure to take a look at the events page on the Twin Cities DSA website. And then take a look at, on the events page, there's also our big endorsement meeting, which is coming up on the Tuesday of next week. So that's March 29th. This will be an opportunity for the chapter to come together and debate our, the endorsements for this round of all the candidates who are coming forward seeking endorsement, and also to debate electoral strategy in terms of what we think the chapter should be doing with regard to the 2022 cycle. So make sure that you show up and participate in our endorsement meeting on Tuesday, March 29th. The following day, Wednesday, March 30th, we will be opening balloting for the voting on this round of endorsements. You'll receive, if you are a Twin Cities DSA member in good standing, you'll receive an OPA vote ballot in your email, and you will have 1 week to decide whether or not you want to endorse in any of the races where candidates are seeking endorsement. The voting will close on April 6th. So, be on the lookout for that email and make sure that you respond before April 6th. So that is kind of the upcoming schedule for our endorsements for round number 2. After that, we will move into the actual campaigning season. So be on the lookout for that. If you are ever interested in getting involved in Twin Cities DSA work, it's a great opportunity to, advance some socialists and also to meet other chapter members, get involved. It's a really great thing. With that, I think that's all of the administrative things to handle for the meeting. So I will ask Mai Chong Xiong to introduce herself, talk a little bit about your background and about why you're running and anything else that you would like to start us out with.
All right. Well, thank you so much, John. Hi, Twin Cities DSA. Thank you for having me. I'm Mai Chong Xiong. Pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm running to serve District 6 on the east side of St. Paul on the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners. And today I would love to earn your endorsement because the east side has huge potential for building power for the working class people. It is the district where Bernie Sanders and Erin Murphy won. And it's also where we tested the organizing skills that we have built collectively and beat a $5 million corporate back campaign to win rent stabilization in St. Paul. So I've seen and believe in the power of our grassroots organizing, and I believe it is the antidote for taking on corporate power and tipping the scale back to the working class. Together, I believe we can win economic prosperity where everyone is in, no one is left out, and where we can build a future where caring for people and our environment is at the center. This matters to me as a first-generation Hmong American woman, a mother, and a caregiver to aging parents, because I see through the lies of the American dream of individualism, capitalism, and trickle-down economics. I graduated from college during the Great Recession, and all around me were my friends, all first-generation students, people of color, left with over $30,000 in college debt, and with jobs that paid no more than $15 an hour. I came back home on the East Side and lived in a small 3-bedroom home with just 12 of my family members that we rented. Even though we all worked full-time, we didn't even make enough to afford a decent home. Shortly after, my dad died at the young age of 60 because of an asthma attack in the parking lot of Hmong Village. I refuse to believe that this was by accident, because the data points to poor working class people and people of color who died disproportionately at higher rates than wealthy white people due to the inequitable access to quality food, air, housing, and healthcare. My dad deserves to be alive today, just like the many others who have died at the hands of our current system. I believe we can change the tides for working class people. We must organize to reject the criminalization of poor people whose labor has for too long been exploited, and fight against the harmful narratives that pit working class people against one another. As county commissioner, I will fight towards a future where we all have access to meaningful jobs, free healthcare, quality, green, resilient housing, free childcare, comprehensive universal social services, and free transit. These are all things we need to live dignified and joyful lives, and we must demand that from our government. As county commissioner, you can count on me to continue organizing with DSA members to realize that vision. That's why I'm seeking this endorsement, because I know we can build power with the working class people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our first question is going to reprise a little bit of what's you already mentioned in your questionnaire. So I encourage those of you who have not seen it to check out the questionnaire that is for each of the candidates. They're listed on the Twin Cities DSA website. But basically, if you could let us know what some of your top priorities would be if you were elected.
Sorry, I'm muted there. As I mentioned, affordable housing, transit, our environment, and making sure that our social services are accessible to all. Thank
you. One of our pre-submitted questions is, how would you describe your politics and in particular your relation to the DFL?
I would say my politics is of inclusion and collaboration, of keeping people in and working hard towards investing in one another and not disposing of each other, right? But also of dreaming and knowing that there's so much more that we can do together, and that the resources are there, coming from a place of deep care, deep solidarity, as well as accountability to one another. I'm definitely committed in this fight to do that, basically, right? Of like knowing what our roles are and helping each other, investing in each other to do that. And not only that, but again, the DFL, our two-party system, is limited, right? So on top of that, we must continue to build. And I see DSA as the vehicle to bring in more people into it. So it's just DFL is just one vehicle for access to Eastsiders at the moment.
Thank you very much. What is your general theory of how change is made? And if elected, what would you like your relationship with Twin Cities DSA to be?
Yeah, my theory of change and organizing here is, organizing people, making sure that we win, and then also organizing money. We need money in order to win. And that also means we need organized people and working class people. We can't depend on corporate back campaigns to depend on that, right? There's too many interests in that to just be accountable to. We must be accountable to people.
Gotcha. And do you have kind of a vision for what you would like your relationship with Twin Cities DSA to be like?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry I didn't answer that part of the question.
It was kind of a dual question, so I apologize.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would love to continue working with DSA members in the sense of even having a coordinated or a slate of people in in elected office. I know that endorsements mean something and they also matter. And I would love for us to think about, running a slate of candidates basically to run across at all levels of government and to help maximize and turn out working class people. So if elected, I would be committed to continue to organize and investing in leaders, make sure that we continue to build our wave of leaders to take on more office. Not only that, but my vision for the East Side that includes the DSA is to actually continue to campaign after Election Day. And that would mean, continue the campaign and organizing on the ground and connecting working class people to resources, but also to organizing spaces. In addition to that, I would open our lines of communications to one another and making sure that we're accountable to each other and having hard conversations as needed about roles and about the power that we need to build in order to win.
Fantastic, thank you. For those who may be less familiar with the county commission, could you talk a little bit about the kind of change that you see that you might be able to bring via that office?
Yeah. So right now the county is, they now just created a housing redevelopment authority that has, a taxing arm for affordable housing. And that's why I'm so excited in terms of what the county can do in this case, where they can invest more deeply into affordable housing. I would love for a relationship between the county and our public housing authority to be able to continue to invest. We know that for far too long, the investment in our current housing stock, especially our public housing, it's been stripped basically. The waiting list is long. And if the county, the city, public housing authority can come together to invest in our deeply affordable housing and invest in more, I feel like that's just one drop in the bucket to continue pushing that forward. In addition to that, the county right now does not have any sort of, climate change plans. They don't, and we can do better by, not just streamlining our recycling, our organics recycling, but we can also bring in together about, what is our standard for buildings that are being built and who are we contracting with, making sure that they're also being responsible socially and also for our environment. Those are all things that we can do at the county. And then third, more changing state level and federal policies, working with the delegation. And that's why I really imagine having a DSA slate and that's strong on the East Side. What that would allow for us to be able to change some of those rules that impact directly people who are on some of the social services through the county, because those rules are what impacts and really harms people who are accessing these services. And that requires state action.
Excellent, thank you. Who are some of the political or movement leaders that you would like to model your leadership off of, and why?
Yeah, Councilmember Ramsey Yang is my co-chair, campaign co-chair, and I would say she's definitely bringing a new type of leadership to office, and I would say the ones that I look up to in Congress are and our movement leaders are Ilhan Omar, AOC, Bernie Sanders. I think those are the folks who are speaking truth to power, but also pushing against. And I also see the challenges that they get attacked on every day, right? So in order to be able to, stand firm is also to continue to build that base. And I believe those are the leaders who continue to build and invest in people. So that's exactly the type of leadership that I want to continue to model.
Thank you. What steps are, actually, I'm going to move to this one. If elected, how will you maintain accountability to the movement and your constituents and use your influence and power towards those ends?
I believe I've mentioned this, in my vision around working with each other is around having clear roles, and then also about endorsements and having a slate of people that we can support collectively. I think that's the only way that we can continue to build power collectively and leverage it. In addition to that, I know that as an elected official, right, I have a lot of power in terms of weighing in on those endorsements, having difficult conversations. And I'm committed to that. And on top of that, my campaign team consists of all DSA members. That also includes my co-chair too.
Well, I love to hear that. I'm going to pause here and remind participants that you can submit at any time using the Q&A function any questions that you want to ask. I only have a few more of the kind of already submitted questions, and so we're definitely eager to get you all participating and asking questions. So be sure to utilize that function. With that, you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but I kind of want to ask just kind of specifically to talk about it is, can you tell us about your approach to community engagement and what that will be and how you would bring the movement in with you into office?
Yeah, what I am doing already in my campaign is I prioritized the relationships and the endorsements on the East Side. And that has been my approach to it. For far too long, the East Side has had, very long standing power, basically, right? But it's changed so much. And then we also have new leadership. I've worked really hard to earn the endorsements of our, East Side leaders. And that includes Councilmember Ramsey Yang, Representative Jay Zhang, Chai Lee, who's also currently serving on the Met Council, but he's also East Side leader and activist. And I'm also looking to endorsements from our local elected officials over here too. And those are ongoing conversations to get endorsement. On top of that, I want to continue doing the outreach in the community, and that's the door knocking, organizing in communities of color and also in working class communities where people are not always going to read everything that they get in the mail, or where they're not going to always have like an email in the van, or they're not going to have all their information that's accessible. We need to be out there, and that's what I saw when I was door knocking for to get signatures for HENS. I saw that so many people were not registered to vote. And if they were registered, they had just moved over to another apartment in the same apartment complex. And that meant that they had to register again. So when they move around that much, we are not going to have the same group of people. We're always going to have new people. And that's what the East Side is. It has working class people, people who have not always been in the East Side for forever, right? And we need to engage this group of voters. On top of that, I want to continue doing the political education. I've mentioned this before too, but as first generation Hmong American women, I started out with like Take Action Minnesota. And at that time, Take Action Minnesota was also like, new in terms of like the intersections of both identity, of social, gender, and economic intersections of those oppressions, basically, right? And we thought that we had to organize separately, but we don't. And I believe that being working class, having that as the identifying piece to connect all of us is going to resonate, and it has been resonating because people are seeing through, again, the lies that right now what we have is not working. And directly tied to me is, I've done everything correctly too. And I know so many people have tried so hard to do that, but one emergency or medical emergency away, they just won't be able to like survive that, basically, right? They'll go homeless. And so I want to continue engaging in the community in that way, authentically, hearing their stories, hearing what are the challenges for them, connecting them again with organizing and movement organizations, right? Similar to DSA, that's building power for working class people.
Thank you. You mentioned the Hens campaign, a campaign that's near and dear to Twin Cities DSA's hearts. Could you talk a little bit about kind of your observations from that campaign, or any lessons that you drew from it?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, organizing is the antidote to corporate power. The campaign was like outraised, basically. I looked at a campaign finance report. The opposition raised $5 million and they lost. And they lost because they relied on just TV ads, on fancy mailers, not deep organizing and canvassing. Whereas in Hens, we started organizing much longer, right? And I won't take credit for like being a part of all like the very beginning where they already started talking about tenant protections. But I played a role as a staff in City Hall, right, in talking about like tenant protections, what that looks like. But then the organizing work happened on the ground where those one-to-one conversations happened, and the conversation also happened publicly to really engage, people who read mainstream news. But then we also engage at the door, and like I said, those conversations happen authentically when we started talking about rent, when we started asking them about how what they think about the place that they're living in, or how frequently they have had to move. We know that tenants are being exploited. The power imbalance is there, and that resonated with them, and they turned out. And that was also reflected in our East Side organizing work that we did. Had we not organized, I believe we would have lost on the East Side as well.
Fantastic, thank you. Again, I want to remind participants to please submit questions so that we have some more ones. This is, I think, our last pre-submitted one, which is, how will you give the undocumented community the representation that it deserves and needs?
Yeah, I believe in needing to earn their trust, in needing to have and create spaces where they will show up authentically as themselves in safe spaces. To me, that means that having relationships in the community with community members and creating spaces for them to show up in, basically, and listening to their stories, and then also showing up for them. On top of that, we also need to make sure that they know that the county services that if elected, that I will fight to make sure that our county services are accessible to them, and that they won't be, that we will not be working with ICE or with any enforcement agencies that would create further harm to them and to their families.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Tim, do you see any questions submitted so far?
We do have one. Let me do this.
All right, thank you. So our question is, you said on your questionnaire, I support moving to public and free childcare services for all. How do you square that with your support for the Spark initiative in St. Paul that supports taxing St. Paul citizens to pay for private childcare services? It is a non-universal and has no provision to require that childcare workers are paid a living wage or are in a union.
Yeah, it's a start. It is a start, especially when we need to create basically an infrastructure for it. And on top of that, it provides a space for us to pilot it. The details about who the providers are and who would be paid through that has not been fleshed out, but that is definitely a key piece of that. But overall, if the city, the county, the school district can be prepared for it, we will be able to make sure that when federal funds are ready and or more private investment is ready to go into it, we will be able to do that. That will also work towards universal childcare. And right now, people need access. And that is just a start.
All right, thank you. Any additional ones come in, Tim?
It doesn't look like anything at the moment.
All right, well, while people are thinking, pondering that over, and I encourage them to submit more, I wanted to ask Mai Chong, is there anything that you prepared for, that you were ready to go? Like somebody was going to ask you this question and you were ready, that you are like, all right, I want to make sure that I get that in there.
Oh, what do you mean?
Oh, just in terms of like, if you had a point, or if you had like a something prepared that you didn't have kind of an opportunity to slip in as an answer to one of the questions that have already been answered or asked. If there's like, oh yeah, I really wanted to talk about X and nobody asked about X, I just wanted to see if you had any of those, that now would be an opportunity to say, oh yeah, I want to talk about X.
I mean, not in particular. I would say what I had included in my questionnaire is very reflective of my values and of where I want to go. It's huge. And I know that right now we don't have the power to be able to move all of that. And I would love to have the endorsement of DSA in order to be able to move that work together. And it's going to require so much more than us, right? It's going to require, people who don't turn out to vote. It's going to require, the young people who are just turning 18. And more than that, it's just like our young people, basically. And in order to do that, we must have like deep relationships and also invest in people. And I've spoken to that point again too, but that's where my organizing background is from, where the investment in me was from many leaders before me. They allowed create a space for me to make mistakes, and I've grown from it. And that's why I continue to stay in this work. This work is not, it's not easy. right? It's really hard work. And in order to do that, we must invest in each other, love each other, care for each other, and allow for us to make mistakes, but then holding each other accountable in that way. And that's how I will govern, and would hope that DSA would endorse me and put in that work with me too.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm not seeing any other questions, so I think we can wrap it up there. All right. Mai Chong Xiong, thank you so much for joining us and talking to our members, answering our questions. As a reminder, this video will be available to chapter members. So for those of you who are on the call and you have some folks who maybe they couldn't make it, we'll be posting the link in the Slack. Make
John?
sure. Oh.
Just we had a last question that got in.
All right.
So the question was, what are your thoughts around cash bail? How do you feel about it?
Very inequitable in the sense that the people who can pay gets to go out, and the people who don't, they don't. And we must end that. I know that I've been a part of, just a few conversations between, at the city, county attorney's office, and some folks at Ramsey County, and also judges that are talking about that and how to change it. So I want to lean into that more, but just know that, the impacts of it is wholly inequitable, and that it is working class people, Black and brown people, who are disproportionately impacted and harmed.
Thank you for that. So yeah, those are our questions. Encourage folks to continue the discussion on the Twin Cities DSA Slack. Will be all sorts of discussions on the electoral channel or the discussion channel. Really encourage folks to get in there and talk about it. I'm posting in the chat a link to our Twin Cities endorsement process page, which lists the, and Tim has also posted the events page, so for future events. So you can find out when the other endorsement calls are happening and when our endorsement meeting is, and any other kind of Twin Cities DSA events, things going on. And a reminder that we'll be voting on our second round of endorsements coming up very soon. So you still have some time to give it some thought, but now is the time to get engaged. Mai Chong Xiong, thank you very much for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and I hope to earn your endorsement.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, everyone.